an institute for the mentally ill, and a place, according to Logan's contact, where the X-Men would find incontrovertible evidence that mutants were being held against their will. "And if it's true, then it ain't no holiday they're having," Logan had said. Because prison was bad enough, but add doctors, the ominous specter of science, experimentation, and the scenario became much worse. Mutants, despite the law protecting them, were still easy fodder for overeager scientists who wanted nothing more than to see, in the flesh, the why and how of extreme mutation. Jean understood the fascination. She simply did not think it was an excuse for unscrupulous behavior. The room was small, one window covered in fine mesh. No furniture or cameras or anything at all that revealed the identity of her captors. The door had a small glass observation window, set too high for Jean to see much but a snatch of ceiling. She heard voices in the hall, soft, and then footsteps closer and closer until the doorknob rattled. Jean closed her eyes. She heard someone enter. "He's still out," said a man. He had a rough voice, gritty like a hard smoker. "Probably pretending," said another. Jean heard shoes scuff the floor. She peered through her lashes and saw black shoes and dark blue pants. Cologne tickled her nostrils. "Hey," said the first man, nudging her ribs with his toe. "Hey, Jeff, you out?" Quiet laughter. "Idiot. You actually expect him to say yes?" The two men stood close together, relaxed and unafraid. Perfect. Jean shot out her legs and slammed her socked heels into a knee. She heard a very satisfying crunch, a sharp howl, and then she rolled left as the second man tried to subdue her. He was slow, but then so was Jean. Her body felt clumsy, unfamiliar. She barely managed to gather enough momentum to stand, and by that point, the man, large, muscular, with a flat, square face, was too close for her to maneuver. She saw his fist speed toward her face, was able to turn just slightly, and got clipped hard enough to slam her into the wall. A low whoof of air escaped her throat, and the sound of that partial cry made her forget pain, capture, everything but her voice. A man's voice slipped free from her throat, deep, hoarse, and horrifying. It had to be wrong. Her imagination. The man with the broken kneecap howled, screaming so loud her own voice must have been drowned out, swallowed up, and yes, that was right. That had to be it. A strong hand grabbed her hair and crashed her forehead against the wall. Her skull rattled, sound passed her lips, and still it was the same. An impossible rumbling baritone that was not her voice, not feminine in the slightest. "Hold still," muttered the man, pinning her against the wall. "Jesus, Jeff." "Who are you?" she asked, listening to herself speak. Chills rushed through her arms and she glanced down, seeing what she had taken for granted upon waking, never noticing, never paying any serious attention to the changes she felt in her body. Not my body. Not my body. No breasts, a thick waist, strong, broad legs, the ends of black dreadlocks hanging over her left shoulder. Her captor did not answer. He was breathing too hard. His companion lay on the floor, muffled screams puffing from between his clenched teeth. Jean heard footsteps outside the room, people running, drawn by the sounds of violence. "Please," Jean said, listening to herself speak in a stranger's voice. She wanted to vomit. "Where am I?" The man shook his head. "I thought you were getting better. No wonder McGuire wanted you restrained." The door banged open. 3 men entered. One of them held a nightstick. Another had a syringe. She recognized their uniforms. "Don't," Jean said, staring at the syringe. "I'm calm now. I'm better." "Sorry." The man pushed her harder against the wall. "No one's going to take a risk on you now." Jean struggled. Without her powers, she lived in a state of semi-unconsciousness. To take that one step further, again, without knowing where the others were, Scott, or what had happened to put her in another person's body, was more than she could bear. She was outnumbered and in a straitjacket. Perhaps the men showed surprise that the person they were accustomed to dealing with displayed sophisticated tricks in fighting them off. But they were tough, and used to unruly patience. They subdued Jean. They subdued the man they called Jeff. And as Jean felt the sharp prick of the syringe in the side of her neck, she silently called out to her husband.